Hello, it is Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It is a Tuesday puzzle today, so should be relatively gentle, relatively approachable, and I'm back in my ordinary recording environment, so the audio quality should be improved. I'm sorry for the compromised audio quality over the last several days, as well as the missed Wordle yesterday. Sorry about that. I tried to record it, and the recording did not work, and then there's no way to redo the Wordle, unfortunately, because it saves your obviously it saves your progress. So I had to give up on that one, but everything should be fine for the foreseeable future now that I'm back in my ordinary setting. So look forward to that. And let's see. So right, this improved audio quality equipped edition of the Daily Solve has been brought to us by Mitchell Turek, Jenny Montague, Lewis Williams, and, as always, the invaluable Timothy Mark and the indomitable Shoalmaster. So thank you so much to the five of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, for their generous support in sustaining this channel and keeping this series going day after day. I do very much appreciate it. If you'd like to join their ranks yourself, like those five, and become a benefactor with the Daily Solve Let's Check the Crosses mug, you can find that at patreon.com/dailysolve or in a link in the description field underneath the video. And of course, by following that same link, you can become a patron at any level you choose and get access to all of the bonus videos that have gone up on the channel to date, as well as the new ones that go up each week. And this week we'll get back to posting more of those. So look forward to that as well if you are a patron. And thank you to everybody who is one. You can also, in another link in the description field, join the Daily Solve Discord chat server. And if you haven't if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, do that as well. All that said, let's get on to today's puzzle, a Tuesday puzzle constructed by Emily Rourke, who is contributing her second puzzle to the New York Times today. And this crossword, of course, was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. So let's start solving. It will be a themed puzzle. We'll see what's in store for us today. Rent character who sings Light My Candle. I'm not sure. I saw Rent many years ago. I don't remember the names of any of the characters, unfortunately, but here we have it, and there you have it. Could be voila, maybe, from the French. Let's check the downs and see. Middle of many German names. It could be von or van, as in Ludwig von Beethoven. Not sure which of those is actually more likely or common, or maybe one of them is incorrect. I don't know. We'll keep looking. Choose is opt. You make a choice, you opt for something. Old Apple picture editing app. iPhoto? Does that no longer exist? I don't know. I assume this is the answer. Let's keep going. We'll find out. Freeloader. A freeloader, a sponge, or a mooch, or what? Someone who... I'm not sure. Blank grows in Brooklyn. Oh, a tree grows in Brooklyn, I'm pretty sure. So does that help with this? Darling one. Oh, poppet? Sort of a quaint term of endearment, often referring to a small child, maybe. I think that's correct. So that confirms Vaughn for 5 down, middle of many German names. That could be a tough cross if you aren't familiar with this, because you could think maybe puppet, and I don't know, that Vaughn looks sort of weird, though. Okay, freeloader. Oh, a leech. Right, of course. There we go. Someone who leeches on others. Titular animated character whose theme music is by Henry Mancini. That's the Pink Panther. The sort of animated character from the title sequences of those films, the film starring Peter Sellers, then obviously the character later became its own, got its own cartoons. Okay. And it is a great piece of music. Hand in Spanish. Oh, is it not? I would have thought it was mono. Oh. Is it moppet? I guess it is. Wow, okay, I was completely wrong about that. Right, okay. Sorry about that. Hand is mono in Spanish. That I'm confident about. So moppet, I mean, that does, yeah, I guess I can, that is said in essentially the same context. Okay, so I think that's right. So let's keep going. Avocado center is the pit of the avocado, a large spherical pit, and these are all, so it's going to be what, a cartoon character theme? Serial mascot who says they're great is Tony the Tiger. character on the front of Frosted Flakes cereal, I think. Okay. Indian and Arctic are oceans. And pickleball relative. So I know pickleball has become hugely popular in recent years. I don't actually know what it is. I don't know what is involved in playing pickleball. What would be a relative of it? Another game. I don't know. Scottish city on the River Clyde. Oh, Glasgow, of course. Okay. I saw this SG and I thought that's a strange pairing of letters. Those don't go together, but then of course they do. Okay, woo woo, the weekend's here is TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, or thank goodness it's Friday. So what is this pickleball relative? I just do not see it at all. It'll probably be clear once it comes in, but it doesn't help, I guess, that I don't actually know what pickleball is. Web connection letters are ISP, Internet Service Provider. We don't really use that phrase very much anymore. I don't really know why. You just don't see it as much, even though we still have Internet Service Providers. I suppose because for many people these days, it's the same as their television provider, although it feels though increasingly many people, including myself, don't have sort of traditional television service. So who knows? I don't know why that phrase has gone away. Around 2 to 3% for a customer using a credit card. A fee, a credit card processing fee. And otherwise is else. A place for a ponytail is the nape of one's neck. Oh, tennis. Oh, right. Okay. So I suppose pickleball is related to tennis. Does it use a racket as well? I suppose it must. Altogether, if you act altogether, you act as one. And Stimpy's Pal in cartoons, that's Ren and Stimpy from the 1990s television cartoon. And if you triumphed, you won. Oh, so that's sort of related to these animated characters, but it doesn't seem like it's part of the theme. I think it's just an extra little nod to the theme, perhaps. Anyway, here we have the official male musician, anyway, of the New York Times crossword, the ambient music trailblazer Brian Eno. So there we go, Eno getting that into the crossword. Just one tiny bite. A taste, I suppose. Like the gases argon and xenon, those are the noble gases. They're over on the right-hand column of the periodic table, and don't ask me to explain to you exactly what is implied by the noble gases because I don't remember. I just remember that they exist. The winning tic-tac-toe line when player X isn't paying attention. Oh, I suppose. I suppose this is referring to the fact that tic-tac-toe or noughts and crosses is a sort of a solved game in the sense that if you go first, you can essentially always win. Is that true? I think that's possibly correct, if you're attentive. Ma, who once left a $2.5 million cello in the trunk of a taxi. Oh, wow, that must be the great cellist Yo-Yo Ma. And to barely manage is to squeak by, maybe? It's a bit of it's a change to the usual New York Times crossword entry of eke by or eke out. Oh, maybe not. Retired quarterback Manning. So even I, a sort of sports ignoramus, have heard of Eli Manning. So maybe this isn't squeak by. So yeah, I'm not sure what that is, but let's look at this. Right, here's our theme revealer. Fictional feline from Japan, or how one might greet 17, 24, 54, or 65 across, right? That must be Hello Kitty. I think it might be the case that Hello Kitty is actually meant to be a little girl in a cat costume. I mean, even fictionally. I'm not sure. I could be wrong about that. I think I just sort of weirdly, arbitrarily saw that. I think maybe at some point last year. I don't remember what the context of that knowledge was. In any case, we understand what the theme is meant to be. So we're saying hello to the Pink Panther, Tony the Tiger. So not only are these just cartoon characters, they're cartoon cats specifically. So why don't we look at the rest of them? 54 is Oz resident lacking in courage. So this is from The Wizard of Oz. The Cowardly Lion. Does that work? Yes, it does. And then finally we have a Lewis Carroll character with a disembodied smile, the Cheshire Cat from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, or Through the Looking Glass. All right, great. So now we have a whole spate of across letters entered into the grid that should help solve it. Oh, right, barely managed. We'll come back to that. Fraction of a minute is a second, 1/60th of a minute. Oh, look at this. Artist activist Yoko is Yoko Ono, the one of the maybe two official women musicians of the New York Times crossword. Possibly the other possibly being Enya. If you, I don't know. I guess we could probably figure this out actually, because there is a website, xwordinfo.com, that tabulates lots of data about New York Times crossword puzzle clues and answers, and I bet we could figure out actually who are the most common musicians cited in the New York Times crossword. But anyway, Yoko Ono is certainly one of them, as is Brian Eno. And look at that, they're symmetrically placed. That was very clearly an intentional placement by Emily Rourke. That's very good. Okay, yard cover is sod. You could lay sod over a yard. And if something is thoroughly memorized, it's down pat. You have it down pat. The Enola Gay was a World War II plane that dropped an atomic bomb. Am I remembering that correctly? I think yeah. Was it in a test? Was that one of the test detonations? I can't remember exactly. I should know that off the top of my head, and I can't exactly recall. Old explosive device used to breach castle walls is a petard, as most famously referenced by Shakespeare, hoist by his own petard, which we imagine to mean essentially blown sky high by one's own explosive or one's own hubris, I suppose, or presumption. Taoism, sorry, I had to clear my throat there. Anyway, Taoism founder, I think this would be Lao Tzu. Could be spelled maybe with a Z. Let's look at the across here. Hoppy beers, in brief, are IPAs. India Pale Ales are very hoppy, strong beers. Bitter beers. Cleverness is wit, and if one cried, one wept. An energy monitoring organization, the U.S. government is the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, and London Art Museum is the Tate. I suppose if it's just the Tate, it might be referring to the Tate Britain, less famous than its younger sibling, the Tate Modern, which I think is one of the most visited museums in the world. Negotiator's refusal is no dice. I see. Okay. No dice. And a common after-dinner coffee preference, decaf. Oh, maybe it's not. Oh, no deal. Sorry. No deal. There we go. That makes more sense. I was wondering, why does it need to be a negotiator? I should have paid more attention to that internal question. So common after-dinner coffee preference could be decaf, decaffeinated coffee. And Christine of Chicago Hope. I've never seen Chicago Hope, but I've heard of Christine Lottie, so I think that is probably the answer. That's a relatively distinctive name given the three letters LAH there. Take the blank, Duke Ellington classic, the great Duke Ellington tune, Take the A Train. And body parts that might be bumped, fists might be bumped, fist bumps, become much more prevalent in recent years. And what's his face? There we go, just a common phrase. And ordeal for many high school seniors, the SAT, Standardized Achievement Test, or whatever it is. 1840s White House family, the Tylers. Was Tyler the one who still had living grandchildren within the last several years? I think that may be true, which is just sort of unfathomable. That's just the strangest thing. That could be wrong. I could be misremembering the president, but I believe that was the case. Anyway, song refrain syllable could be tra as in tra-la-la, and philosopher Marx, Karl Marx, of course. Mount that Moses mounted, right? So not a mount as in a steed, but Mount Sinai, a mountain, which, of course, Moses went to the top of. Certain sib is a sis, a sibling, a sister. And because sib is a contracted form, an abbreviated form of sibling, the answer will also be a shortened version of its own word, so sis for sister here. Hairy cousin in the Addams Family, cousin It, the big hairy character in the Addams Family, and animal with a long sticky tongue, an ant eater. Blank sure you betcha, classic Minnesotan expression. Ya, I guess, ya. Is it ya? No, ya with an H looks better. I think absurdly, probably my strongest association with that is the Coen brothers film Fargo, which is which characters say that sort of thing all the time. There's no place like it. There's no place like home, they say. And if something is buzzword worthy, let's see, it's fashionable or sort of not fashionable, but maybe in the news. I'm not sure. Flow from is emanate from. And broadcasts not done in a studio are what, they're on location, or I don't think I spelled emanate correctly. Emanate. There we go. Sorry, that's what I was looking for. Does that help with this? Oh, Jenna Fisher's role on The Office. Oh, Pam. Character Pam. So does that help with this? Broadcast not done in a studio. Oh, remotes. Right. Okay. Yes. So it was on location. It was as I was imagining it. So it's what was my recordings for this channel for the last several days, and the quality certainly suffered for it. Buzzworthy say is what, top? Not sure. Note to all staff, a memo perhaps, an all staff memo. Partners one's mate, and stadium cries are olays. There we go. Maybe a goal has been scored. Oh, topical. Oh, right. Okay. Of course, buzzworthy. It's topical. It's newsworthy. It's current. Toy item set up to be toppled is a domino. Oops. And Norse god of wisdom and war is Odin. And finally, a negative conjunction is nor, neither this nor that. Okay, great. So let's finish off this puzzle. Shaggy Beatles hairdos, mop tops, I think those were called. So inane is what, silly or ridiculous or lacking substance, I'm not sure. Stench is an odor, though. There we go. Add as an extra perk is toss in, maybe? Baseball great Mel. This is one of those names I've just learned through the crossword purely. Mel Ott. So this is another, I mean, it goes along, honestly, with Eno and Ono as three-letter crossword standby names, certainly. So there we go. And then like a famed piper, Peter Piper, maybe? Oh, the Pied Piper. Right, the Pied Piper who sort of, led the rats along or whatever he did. Okay, barely managed, scrape by. To barely manage is to scrape by. Right, should have thought of that earlier, but I didn't. Morse code morsel is da, so dit and da are the Morse code sort of transliterations of the symbols. And then under the bed resident in a child's imagination, a monster could be imagined by a child to live under the bed. Oh, something's inane, it's idiotic, there we go. Oh, Mimi, I vaguely remember as a character from Rent. It wasn't very helpful by the time I remembered it, but that's fine. And then peeves, if something peeves you, it irks you. And the medley the little melody is back as well. So there we go. That was the Tuesday crossword. I think, like yesterday, not necessarily the absolute smoothest pushover of an early week crossword you've ever had, but certainly very solvable, especially with all the crosses. So we had our Hello Kitty theme, by which we were greeting the Pink Panther, Tony the Tiger, the Cowardly Lion, and the Cheshire Cat. And a nice simple theme. So I think we could have, yes, all of these were individually solvable, and even Hello Kitty was individually solvable with the fictional feline from Japan. If you just ignored the rest of it, the theme would be entirely covert. And I think, was Ren also a cat or was Ren a dog? I don't remember. I think Ren was a cat, so maybe we had one more cartoon cat snuck into the grid. But there we have it. And I really enjoyed this little nod to two very commonly cited musicians in the New York Times, Brian Eno and Yoko Ono. But that's that for today's crossword. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back tomorrow, of course, for the Wednesday crossword, our midweek, mid-difficulty solve. So join me for that. But until that point, please do have an excellent remainder of your Tuesday. Take care.